This isn't a normal election. All this stuff we talk about, inflation, the economy, that's not what this race is going to be about. It's not what 22 is about. This race is about one thing, Donald Trump and what he's doing to America. And it's going to be a referendum on Trump. And when you say these things, you have to come out and support Harris. It's a binary choice. One of these two people is going to be president. My old client, Chris Christie, he has to endorse Harris.
But will he? I mean, these are all people we're waiting. I mean,
I don't understand intellectually or morally how you cannot.
Chris Sununu in New Hampshire used to be all over the place, making a moral case against Trump. He has endorsed him.
I think Katie's point is the right one. Why would any Republican who believes in any of the old or new tenets of the Republican Party vote for Kamala Harris? She's going to pack the court. Remember, her voting record was as the most liberal senator. Her platform for president was as liberal or to the left of Bernie Sanders. Why would any Republican, how could they possibly reach the conclusion that by voting for this somehow returns us to the conservative way? It makes no sense.
I can answer that. The reason you would vote for it is because all the stuff that we used to say, the character counts, the character is destiny, that you believe in the Constitution, that if you really believe that, and they weren't marketing slogans, there's only one candidate that supports that.
And that's what Jeff Duncan was saying. I agree with that. That's what he was saying. Jeff Duncan was saying that. When he gave his speech, that's what he was saying. He was saying, guess what? I don't necessarily agree with the Democratic Party. I am not a Democrat, but I do know that former President Trump does not believe in the rule of law. So do I vote for someone who doesn't believe in the rule of law, or do I vote for someone who doesn't want the same policies?
All right, guys, so we got to talk about this very, very, very heated CNN panel discussion that erupted after a never-Trump Republican, Stuart Stevens, who is a part of the Trump Deranged Lincoln Project, basically says that, yeah, you are not a patriot if you do not vote for Kamala Harris. Now, this comes as they are discussing all the never-Trumpers who are coming out and supporting Kamala Harris for very silly reasons, okay? Because if you are a conservative, okay, if you are a Republican, there is no real policy reason for why you should support Kamala Harris, okay? She is the opposite of what the Republican Party or conservative values stand for. And this has probably been one of the biggest things that annoys me over the past few weeks or so, is all these never-Trumpers coming out and pretending as if they are standing on principle by telling conservatives that, hey, it's okay to vote for the most left-wing progressive agenda that we've ever seen, okay? Because orange man bad. But the reality is that these people, they're not standing on any type of principle. They're simply trying to use their status as a Republican to become a pawn for the Democrat Party so that they can be a part of the Hollywoodification of the Democrat Party. They want to continue to get the invites to the parties, the dinners, the galas, all those things, right? This is what they want to be a part of, okay? My primary example of this is Ana Navarro, okay? She still claims to be a Republican, even though there's not a conservative bone in her body, right? There's nothing about her that is conservative, but she still claims to be a Republican. And she's hosting the DNC, right? I mean, she's just flat out endorsing the most progressive agenda that we've ever seen, okay? It just doesn't make sense. The only way it makes sense is that you realize that these people, they're doing it for their own self-aggrandizement. But there are some never-Trumpers who have not come out and endorsed Kamala Harris, okay? They're saying, hey, well, you know, I don't like Trump, but I also don't like Kamala as well, too. I'm just going to stick it out, okay? So, again, that is the background of this conversation. And basically, again, one of these guys is going to claim that, well, as a Republican, you have to vote for Kamala Harris. It doesn't matter what her policies are about. The election is not about the economy. It's not about the border. It's not about foreign policy. It's not about anything that actually matters. It's simply about Trump, okay? And if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, then you are not a patriot. And Scott Jennings is going to take issue with that, and that is what's going to make this CNN panel erupt here, and I want to react to it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Said something in his speech that actually hit, and by the way, he's our colleague, and I'm not, it's not a personal attack, but he said, he sort of inferred that if you don't vote for Harris, you're not a patriot. And
I would agree with that.
And I have to tell you how profoundly poorly that's going to hit a lot of Republican ears. Look, there are plenty of Republican voters who are lukewarm on Trump. Maybe they wish he hadn't run again, whatever. But to be told that your choice is your patriotism is dependent upon your choice. Just because you prefer a Republican government.
You
No,
prefer
but
someone
I thought that was a poor argument. I thought that was a
You
poor
prefer
argument.
someone who didn't try to overthrow the government
The
of the
Republicans
United
are saying
States.
you're not an American if you vote for Harris.
I've never heard anyone say
I've
that.
heard many of them say that.
People were making fun of us because we were women. Yes, people were literally questioning us because we wanted to wave our own flag at the Democratic National Convention, talking about when did they start loving America? From the day I was born. Here's the thing. He's not saying that you're not a patriot if you vote for Donald Trump. He's just saying, this is my interpretation of it. He's saying, I love this country beyond anybody, any one person. And somebody who tried to overthrow our election, somebody who didn't stop for hours. Because I'm pretty sure we agree on this, because we've talked about this even on air. When an insurrection was happening at the Capitol, when you support somebody who has done that, that is not patriotic. And then when you have that be your party's nominee, sometimes you got to call a spade a spade.
Because that happened.
You know what's so funny about this? These people always want to continue to talk about the insurrection. That is not patriotic. But yet, you have Democrats who have challenged the election, right? Every time they've lost, okay, since George Bush. Not only that, they have condoned and encouraged acts of political violence in response to losing the election, along with floating insane conspiracy theories like, for example, the Russia collusion hoax, right? But again, this is something that is pigeonholed in history where it's never really brought up, but I would suggest more Republicans bring this up. There was political violence that happened on Inauguration Day when Trump was sworn into office. There were massive protests in the streets from Hillary Clinton supporters and Democrats who did not like the fact that Trump won the election. And let's not forget what the far left extremists did, how they overran the Capitol during Brett Kavanaugh's nomination and appointment to the Supreme Court. All of these things happened under Trump, in which these people, very unpatriotically, right, because this is the standard that they're using, they protested and they rioted because they couldn't get their way, right? They didn't like the outcome of the election. They didn't like who Trump was putting on the Supreme Court, and they committed acts of violence, okay? Very unpatriotic things that Democrats like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris supported, right? They didn't speak out against this and say this is unacceptable in this country. No. They quietly supported it. Now, you can say whatever you want about January 6th. You can call it insurrection, but it wasn't an insurrection, okay? It was a protest that got out of control, and Trump was very clear about how he wanted peace that day, okay? Trump did not like the outcome of the election, and he exercised his right to challenge the election the same way that Democrats challenged the election, okay? And it just so happens that the protest that happened that day got out of control. But it wasn't planned. It wasn't a coup, right? It wasn't an attempt to overthrow the government. It was none of these things that these people are talking about, okay? This is all Trump derangement. But my point is this. They're trying to essentially create some type of moral high ground for Democrats, right? Where they say, well, it doesn't matter that Kamala Harris is a communist. She is morally superior to Trump, right? In character and all these other things, right? The Democrats are just better. And that's just simply not the case. Because all these things that people are complaining about, I can point the finger at Democrats and say, you guys are 10 times worse. Okay? You want to talk about January 6th? There were so many January 6s that happened during the BLM riots that Democrats supported because they saw it as useful to beating Trump. How is that a patriotic thing? To allow cities to burn so that you can defeat Trump in the election? Not very patriotic. Also, on top of that, you can say whatever you want about January 6th, but they weren't burning American flags, right? That's not what they were doing, okay? But that is something that the far leftists do. When they're upset, they burn the American flag while also telling you how much they hate the country while doing it. And again, what do Democrats do? Nothing. Right? They do nothing. They support it. So again, tell me, how is it that there's some type of moral high ground that Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Democrats have over Trump? I really don't understand it, because Democrats, they contest elections that they lose. They push conspiracy theories about how the election is stolen. They commit acts of violence when they feel that the election is stolen. They commit acts of violence anytime they don't get their way. Every time they don't get their way. And they've done this a lot more than Republicans have. So again, where is the moral high ground? And best believe if Trump wins this election, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Those liberal cities, right? They board up for a reason when Democrats come to town. Look at Chicago. They were boarding up for a reason, okay? Because they know what comes with Democrats is chaos and destruction.
Happened does not mean I or Katie or any other Republican has to give up on every single value that we've ever had, whether it has to do with taxes or the court or any other policy. You're asking Republicans to turn over the government to absolute radical liberals over one day, and I'm not prepared to do it because I believe policy choices I believe they matter to the future of the country.
And what policies are you endorsing if you endorse Kamala Harris?
I'll tell
We
you what
still
you
don't
are
know
endorsing
fully.
if you endorse
Let me finish real
Donald
quick,
Trump.
please. We still fully don't know. Are we going to get the 2019 Kamala Harris, who came out of California and had all these liberal positions, that she wanted to ban fracking, that she supported the Green New Deal, and now we're hearing from advisors and mixed things. Oh, maybe she doesn't, maybe doesn't. Are we going to have 2019 Kamala Harris from California? Or are we going to have a new Kamala Harris who wants to win swing states and the position changes?
Either one is better than Donald Trump.
on any given
If you
day.
believe, Scott,
Either one is better than Donald Trump. A communist is better than Donald Trump. That's essentially what this guy is saying. A so-called Republican, this is what he's saying. And this is why I say these people aren't standing on any type of principle. They're standing on Trump derangement. The Lincoln Project is probably one of the biggest grifts that we've ever seen in this country. And it solely exists because there's this lane for Republicans to just hate Trump no matter what. And there's no logical reasoning behind it, right? But the danger in this ideology, in this thinking, and this is something I continue to warn about, is that how you get a real tyrant, okay, is the exact type of thinking that these people are adhering to when it comes to, well, anybody but Trump. Anybody but Trump. What that means that you don't care about what Kamala Harris believes. You don't even know what she believes. But you're going to vote for her anyways, even though there are indications that she has radical beliefs. And we're talking about radical beliefs that go against civil liberties and our basic rights. This woman wants gun confiscation. Okay? She wants to take away your Second Amendment rights. She wants to take away your free speech rights. I mean, we just saw Mark Zuckerberg come out and admit, yeah, the Biden administration pressured us into censoring COVID information that they didn't like, right? People putting their opinions out there, saying things about COVID. Yeah, we censored things on behalf of the Biden administration. Kamala Harris was in charge of the White House disinformation board, whatever they were doing with that. You guys remember that? She was in charge of that. She has shown that she is an authoritarian communist. But apparently that's better than Trump because these people believe that Trump is Hitler, right? Trump is some type of radical dictator, even though Trump has actually shown us that that's not who he is, right? Because he had an opportunity to do that. He could have done that during the pandemic. He could have weaponized the pandemic to actually become a dictator, but he actually chose not to on multiple occasions, including after January 6th, where he decided, okay, I'm going to step down, right? I'm going to take my ball. I'm going to go home. I'm going to leave the White House. He didn't have to do that. He could have declared martial law. He could have tried to take unilateral control of the military and say, I'm not going anywhere. You got to kill me. I rightfully won the election. Therefore, I'm going to stay in the White House. That's not what he did. He left. He showed us what he's willing to do and what he's not willing to do. And he clearly is not willing to be the dictator that these people claim that he is. But the Democrats have shown us that they're most certainly willing to be dictators. They don't give a damn about overthrowing democracy within their own party. They don't care about rigging their own primary election. They don't care about adhering to Supreme Court rulings. In fact, they want to overthrow the Supreme Court. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to get rid of the filibuster. This is what they want to do. They want to undermine every institution in this country. This is what they want to do. This is what they're actively trying to do, and they are very open about it. Okay, very open about it. Anything to beat Trump, right? Anything to beat Trump. Again, don't be surprised if Trump wins. Who will be contesting the election on January 6th in 2025? It'll be Democrats. They'll have their own little version of January 6th, and they'll try their best to justify it. They will bend over backwards and say, well, but we can't allow Trump back in the White House, so therefore we must send the election back to the states. But I thought you said that wasn't possible. You can't do that, right? All of a sudden, it'll be justifiable to contest the election on January 6th, right? That is what will happen. And see, again, that's why when these people come out here and they start talking about, oh, as a conservative, you got to vote for Kamala Harris because of, democracy and all this other nonsense. It's like, no, you're not coming at this as some type of principled conservative. That's not what you're doing. Okay, you're doing this because of Trump derangement. You just hate Trump. And I just wish these people would be honest about it, because there's no world in which a so-called principled conservative would vote for a communist. There's no world in which that makes sense. You can't justify it because there's no moral high ground that Kamala Harris or Democrats have over Trump. It's not there. Democrats are worse on all these things they complain about. You can call it political violence. You can call it election denialism. Whatever you want to complain about with Trump, Democrats are 10 times worse. And I have evidence to back it up, right? We have evidence to back it up.
Scott, let me just,
Listen,
Scott, just a
all right,
second.
let me let
Give me 1
Stuart
second, okay?
get his point.
I can remember being on the bus with you, with Romney, and this is something that really stuck with me. And one of the aides who worked for you had misspelled something in a press release. And you very, very nicely, you weren't mean, you said, this is someone running for the presidency of the United States, to sit in the Oval Office. We have to be at that level and treat it with that respect. How do you say that? And then you get Donald Trump, a sexual predator, a criminal, someone who we know is just a horrible human being who doesn't believe in what we believe in, rule of law. And all this policy stuff, they're not going to remember what the tax rate was or what, This is basically, it is a character test, Scott.
It's more than that. It's more than what the tax rate is. Profound policy implications and decisions are coming from the next administration. I firmly believe if the Democrats win, and if they somehow keep control of the Senate, which I don't think is likely, but is possible, they will eliminate the filibuster, and they will change this country in a way that we can never recover. That is important to me.
What
now,
does that look like?
I don't begrudge your viewpoint, but you cannot begrudge a Republican for wondering, hey, maybe it's not a great idea for us to drive off the left side of the road so far we can never find our way back.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that, okay? These people who claim to be these principled conservatives that are voting for Kamala Harris, again, there's nothing conservative about it. These people are grifters of the highest order. They're traitors of the highest order. And they're not standing on anything except Trump derangement. They're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for the movement. Now, again, I can understand these guys that say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to sit it out. I'm not going to vote for anybody. I get that. I understand. I ain't got no problem with that. Do you? Okay, I think that you should vote for Trump, right? I don't understand how you sit out an election where you have a communist versus Trump. I don't really get that because you have some Trump derangement. But if that's what you want to do, fine. But don't sit and try to tell me, as a conservative, I am not patriotic because I'm refusing to vote for Kamala Harris, a communist, right? Like, come on. Again, that whole party, the whole Democrat Party is built on hatred for this country. Okay, they burned the American flag. They want to change America. They hate the foundation of America. I mean, bruh, have you guys seen the clip of the woman that works for Kamala Harris out here dog whistling Marxism, talking about we need to have a revolution, communist revolution. This is what she actually really means. A communist revolution that is beyond just what is outlined in the Constitution.
We can't just worry about protecting democracy. In this moment, we've got to reimagine it with people that look and love like us at the center. And I think for us right now, it's about reimagining freedom and this American story in a way that is more revolutionary than what our founders actually put down on that little piece of paper, but instead is the type of democracy that is by and for all of the people of this country. That's the opportunity that we have.
Yeah, so again, this is a dog whistle for Marxism, okay? This is what she really means, okay, when she talks about that revolution, because you shouldn't have to reimagine anything because the founding documents are enough in regards to what the core values and beliefs of this country are, and we built off these things, and this is how we've gotten to the point we're at right now, where a lot of these individuals who boohoo, whine, and cry about America not being so great for black folks, well, it's pretty funny because America is the greatest country on earth for a black person, right? There's no better place to live on earth than America for a black person. So I'm not entirely sure why you need to reimagine anything, but the reason why is because they want communism. That's why, right? This is how you know it's a dog whistle for communism, and Kamala Harris is a communist. That is what these so-called principled conservatives are voting for while they're calling other people unpatriotic because they don't want to line up behind Marxism. It really is a damn shame. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.